All right, welcome back, everybody. Here we go again, looking at some price action, looking to see what has been going on in these markets. It has been a wild ride, but it's always a wild ride. And that's why we do this, right? Because trading is a game of volatility, a game of observing, watching, being patient, but knowing that the moves that we want will happen eventually. We just have to be ready for it. So with USDJPY, as I've said, this pair is my bread and butter. I prefer trading this pair over any other pair, even though I do have other ones. We've had this huge bullish run, pushing up into these highs, right? Okay, and last week I think we were somewhere in here. I think this had just happened. We might have just broken this. And I want to demonstrate this one more time for those of you that weren't here. You have these pushes that happened. Let's take this one. And they're all going to be a sort of similar size, similar amount of pips, right? We're going to see these pushes happening. And last week, pushing off from this area, I think we were halfway through this, and I was saying I don't think we're done because we're going to push up to the top of this range, right? Okay, so now that we have pushed up to the top of this range, and again, this is not exact math. It's not always going to be exact, but a lot of times the market does push in very similar amounts. I don't know why exactly, but go check it for yourself if you don't believe me. Either way, we completed that area. So next, I'm looking to see if it's time for us to actually get a pullback on this pair. Before, we just had this move coming off. There's a decent amount of pips to catch if you sold it from up here. But usually when you have a sort of chop consolidation and it hasn't gone on for very long and then you see price pushing down, it's pretty rare that price immediately goes all the way back down to the previous level, right? And here's why. When you have a whole bunch of buyer demand up here, say there's a lot of people that are just getting in on FOMO. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about this before. When price is like, it's been going in a direction for quite a period of time, for whatever reason, that's when retail traders start thinking, oh, it's safe to get in. It's been going this way for a long time. It's probably going to continue going because the mind is programmed to recognize patterns. And especially like simple patterns like that, when it's like, oh, it's going up, there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, it's safe to buy now because they're all wrapped up in their emotions about their money, about if they can make more, about if they're going to lose their money. So they're thinking, oh, this looks safe because it's been going up for this long. Don't ever fall for that. Don't ever think like there's a safe place. Know that whenever you enter a trade, you got to accept your loss before you've entered the trade. Like whatever your stop loss is, whatever amount you're risking, you have to accept that like, okay, I'm putting this on the table and it could be gone. If you can accept that and not get emotional about it, you make much better decisions. But aside from that, we had a lot of people probably buying up here, which is a good opportunity for institutions to start selling off their shares, right? And when, like I said, when it's short and the market makes a push down, it's usually not the first push that goes back to the previous level. That's because when you have market makers selling off their initial take profit, you have people that are immediately thinking, because like I said, people are impatient, oh, it's turning around right here. Especially like you have this doji right up at the top here that kind of marked where I think is about the peak. Right underneath 155, might I add. You had a whole lot of people that were thinking, oh, this must be the point. And then you get people that are doing the opposite and they're trying to sell off right here. And then all their liquidity is being taken. So this is why the market often, it makes like two pushes. It makes a quote unquote M shape. So I think from where we are right here, this might be a good opportunity to relieve this bull run. And I'm thinking it will come back down. 153.38 is where I have this. This is a weekly level. This is why I have this here. This is last week's weekly candle. This was the peak of it. I think there's a possibility we come back in and touch that. So we haven't really had much pullback on this other than this gap down right here. We haven't really had much correction on this. And now that's speculative. Know that we are in a pretty strong bull market, but given I think we completed that last push cycle and then we had this push down, if just saying, like, if this happens, like if we actually see a higher low come out of this and we start to see like this sort of price action where we create like another leg right here, but it stays above this zone, we're gonna be bullish again. That's just the nature of it. But from where we're at right now, I think it's likely that we're gonna see this level next. All right, I hope that makes sense to y'all. I just wanted to bring that up. I think the market is beginning to show its hand here, but we're gonna wait and see. It is Thursday, and we could see this happen tonight or tomorrow, or we'll have to wait until next week. But we will wait and find out. All right, so next, I'm going to go to GBP AUD. This one's been pretty interesting too. I haven't been trading this one. I usually say that on here. I like to stick to one pair at a time, but I do analyze both of these pairs very regularly. I think with the price action we've been seeing here, and remember this green box, this is just, I've been highlighting this box of consolidation chop because a lot of orders were accumulated within here. So we dipped back into this, and we essentially have been making these peaks of lower lows, or lower highs, excuse me, and price reached down back into this zone here. Now, I was speculating on this that I wanted to see this held out and actually see a dump down below this level ultimately. And I do think that could still be possible, given that we had this quote-unquote trend line. Just so you all know, I don't really use trend lines. I don't use these for the purpose of a trend. I use them more to see where volume might be getting trapped. We are pushing above that, and this is giving some reason for people who are using trend lines to think, okay, it might go higher. And it could. Quite frankly, it could. We did have this area right here that volume might have been trapped. We're going to find out. But if this holds off here and then pushes back down, we're going to see another lower point. So there's potentials with this one. I'm not 100% sure myself where this one's going to go. But so long as we may have taken liquidity above this trend line, right? Because now there's people thinking I should buy this, but we did have this low moving to this low, moving to this low. We had a pretty significant like prices being pushed down here, and then we made a lower low right here. I think that level may be taken out, because then beyond that, we have, of course, this low, and then beyond that, we have, of course, this low. So that's quite an area where there's a lot of liquidity built up down below this. And I think the market right now could just be pushing above this trend line in order to further solidify some long orders. They're trying to just pick up as many orders as they can, because right here, again, if I delete this box, this is another area of liquidity right up in here. So we're having this happen again, where price is building up. And look, like we punctured the bottom side of it. So there might have just been some demand for sellers pushed up on the bottom of this range, and then a lot of sell orders were taken, and then they were getting stopped out up here. So there's always a possibility, you know, price could, oh, where's my drawing tool? There we go. We could see something like this, pops up here, and then sells off like that. Again, that is not gospel whatsoever. It's just my drawing. We could also see something where we end up holding up this range. We break back below this. We see something like that happen. That's what I'm more in favor of, but I'm a bit unsure on this pair right now. Again, I'm going to continue to wait on this one. Hope that makes sense, but what do you all think? Drop it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about either of these. And that's just some speculation for you. Again, the reason I do these videos is not to show up and give you a trade. And if you are the kind of trader that is just looking for someone to give you a winning trade, then you're missing the point. Remember, trading is a skill set that once you master it, once you're able to consistently make gains from it, you're able to properly manage your risk, you're able to properly analyze the market, and consistently over time, you're able to win more than you lose. You have a skill set that literally prints you money. So my whole purpose with making these videos is, and I've said this before, is just to give you an insight as to how I look at it after so many years of doing it. Because it can be really simple. You don't have to complicate it. You don't have to use all these crazy indicators. Everybody has their own style, but I like to give my insights so you can formulate your own opinions and say, okay, based on this, where would I place a trade and how would I manage my risk? Because everyone's different. Everyone's going to have their own style with it. And I hope you develop your own. I hope whatever I'm putting in here can be helpful to you to be able to look at the markets with your own independent outlook, with your own eyes, because you can be good at this. It just takes time, it takes practice, and it takes keeping a level head and recognizing that the market is always a game of possibilities. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. So you just have to keep that in mind and then approach everything appropriately. All right. So with that, I wish you the best. Wish you a happy rest of your week. And yeah, y'all take care. Let me know what you're thinking. All right. Peace out.